Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. You are watching NITChesszian, and in today's video we are going to look at the exciting game played between India number 2 Praggnanandhaa versus the world number 1, the GOAT Magnus Carlsen from Norway Chess 2026. Whenever these two players face each other, masterpiece happens on the board, and once again they gave us an absolute thriller. So without wasting any time, let's get straight into the game. So Praggnanandhaa with white pieces started the match with 1 e4. Magnus responded with the Sicilian defense, then knight f3, d6, d4, c takes d, knight f6, knight c3, a6, h4, and this is a very interesting line in the Sicilian defense what Praggnanandhaa played with the move h4. Then the Magnus responded with h6, bishop c4, e6, a3, knight c6, bishop e3, bishop d7, and bring back the bishop to the a2 square. Then bishop e7, queen to e2. Magnus played the move h5 to stop this pawn to move forward. And in this position, Praggnanandhaa played a very interesting move, that is f3. The idea of f3 is to prevent the knight to come to g4 square. Now Magnus played the move knight to e5 and Pragg responded to the castle. And after the move rook to c8, now the overall the position, you see that bar is showing that it is little bit better for white. But in this kind of structure, the black has some kind of initiative here, because in any current movement, the black can sacrifice his rook for the knight, and if he sacrifices the rook, then the pawn structure in front of the king will be damaged, and it will be very hard for Praggnanandhaa to readjust his pieces. So let's see what Praggnanandhaa plays. Praggnanandhaa played the move bishop to g5. Yes, it's also a very good move. You can play the king to b1 as well, but Praggnanandhaa chose to play bishop to g5. But with the move bishop to g5, Magnus Carlsen played the move rook takes c3, sacrificing the rook, and after b takes c3, queen a5. Attack is to attack this pawn as well as this pawn. Now we have to see how Praggnanandhaa will stop this kind of threats. So Praggnanandhaa started with the move king to b1 just to bring back his bishop, I guess. But Magnus Carlsen thought, okay, it's a free pawn, right? So I can capture the pawn. Then Pragg played a very interesting move, that is the move f4. Wow, what a move, f4. It's a great move and it's the only move to play. Because if you play something like bishop to c1, then the problem is you can give up his another pawn, and if you play this move, then also after queen to c5, this position is looking fine for white, but the thing is black has lot of initiatives, like he can castle and bring the rook to this file, and attack will be very strong here. So Praggnanandhaa choose to play the move f4 here. Now he is attacking the knight right now, so knight has to go either here or here. The best move was to play the knight to c6, but Magnus Carlsen played the move knight to g4. Slight inaccuracy, because he is allowing the move e5, striking in the center. Magnus captured, f takes e5, knight back to h7, and Praggnanandhaa played here the move, very calm move, that is queen to d2. Before the move queen to d2, there was a pretty cool tactics there, that Praggnanandhaa can capture this bishop, and if Magnus captured the king, knight to f5 check. Wow, free knight? No, because if you capture the knight, then there comes the move queen to c4, attacking this, and it is very hard for Magnus to defend this position. But Praggnanandhaa chose to play the move queen to d2, and after that Magnus played the move knight to f8. Then Pragg played the move knight to f3, showing inaccuracy, but still it's very good move. After queen to c5, very logical. Then here Praggnanandhaa captured the bishop, queen takes, and he played the move knight to g5. Magnus played the move knight to g6, and Praggnanandhaa bring the back knight to e4. And his idea is put the knight in this square. And here Magnus captured the free pawn, but there is knight d6 check, king f8. So this is the time to bring the rook to the open file, that is rook hf1, and bring the attack from this file. Then knight f6, queen d4, knight g4. And in this position, Praggnanandhaa thought, okay, this is a free pawn, so I can capture. So he captured the pawn, but this is showing an inaccuracy, because Magnus played the best move in this position, that is bishop to b5. Now Pragg thought that, okay, in this position I can exchange the queen, because I am exchange up. So if the queen d8 check, Magnus respond with the move knight to e8, then after queen takes e7, king takes e7, and in this position Pragg played the move c4. And Magnus is Magnus, he played the best move, that is bishop to a4, rook to d8, bishop c6, rook b8. Now bishop takes g2, free pawn, but rook g1, bishop f3, and Praggnanandhaa played a huge mistake in this position, that is rook to g3. You have to remember one thing, because in this format of Norway chess, all the players have only 2 hours in the clock for play 40 moves, but after playing 40 moves they will get only 10 seconds in game, which is pretty less for a classical match. So this kind of mistake you can see very often in these positions. So after the move knight to e5, which is the best move, and Magnus is Magnus, he always plays the best move, but Pragg thought that okay, this is the correct time to push the pawn to c5, and both were on move number 36, and Praggnanandhaa made a huge inaccuracy with the move. It's not, you can say, mistake kind of. So he played the move c5, and Magnus is Magnus, he plays the best move. What a move, g5. What a move. The pawn can be captured by this or this. Anyhow, if you capture anyway, this is still better for black, because if you capture the rook, then there will be certain move like knight to d7. What is the idea knight to d7? To attack this knight. You play something like rook to g3, then after move the move bishop to c6, then you will see this in this position it is totally winning for black, because this c pawn, which is a passer, will not able to go forward. After the move g5, Praggnanandhaa played a slight inaccuracy. Knight come back to d6. Magnus thought that okay, this is a passed pawn must be pushed, so he pushed the pawn to c4, and after knight c8 check, king f6, knight d6, knight takes d6, rook takes h8, Magnus give up his rook. Already Magnus was exchanged down, and he gave another exchange, because Magnus thought that okay, I have a passed pawn, I have these two passed pawn, and this pawn will be stopped by this bishop, so it will be fine for me. And Magnus was, I think, correct, because in this kind of positions very difficult to push with the white pieces. Knight to e4, then rook g1, knight c3 check, king b2, knight e2, rook f1 and g3, and Praggnanandhaa has to play the move rook to g8. Now you will ask that what is the idea to play rook g8? I can simply push the pawn. No, don't push the pawn, because if you push the pawn, then this is a free pawn. See, this bishop is pinned. You can't capture this rook. But Praggnanandhaa also missed the same tactics, pushed his passed pawn as well, because this is the race of a passed pawn. Both has a passed pawn, but whose pawn is faster? We have to see. In this position also, Magnus did a mistake, the final mistake, that is king to g7. And now you will see that c7 is totally winning, because after the move c7, if you bring back the bishop to b7, then simply rook b8. Magnus played the move g2, and it's all done and dusted. Magnus resigned in this position, and Praggnanandhaa won the match, because there is nothing to be done here. Because just imagine that after this move also, if you play something like rook to d1, then what you can do? You can't do anything, because if you bring back the bishop, then it will be a queen. But if you play something like knight here, still you can capture this, and if you push the pawn to the queen, then after captures, and still it is a queen, and it is totally winning for Praggnanandhaa. So what a match! A very topsy-turvy match, but a great game of chess by these two geniuses.